Good evening. This is a Luther P40. I am showing you what I came up with for a measuring device. I've never had any success with those floating tubes and the little rocket bottles. And they seem too consistent. I don't have my system's not set up well enough that I can't get a regular measurement every single time. What I came up with is this device right here. It's extremely simple. It's just a simple tube going into it with a second hole in it, and the whole principle is that this is filled up with water, and you just fill it up and it blows the water out this small hole down at the bottom. I'll give you a quick look at how it is assembled. Basically, it's just a piece of, and this in my case is a piece of 1/4" tubing with a hole drilled out. I got a 3/8 inch hole drilled out, and I believe the second hole is 3/16 of an inch diameter. The whole purpose of this is not so much to compete with you guys, but I need to have a way to know if I'm going forward or if I'm going backwards, and this is the most accurate way that I can think of, where I'm always going to be evacuating the same amount of volume every single time. The bottle size itself, this particular bottle is 500 milliliters, and you can see where the mark is. I only put that mark on there for your demonstration purposes. If I ever say I do 500 milliliters, what I've really done is I've evacuated this entire bottle. So technically, it's I want to say it's approximately 40 more milliliters to fill it to complete the bottle. So, but if you ever see me comparing this, I'll be saying that this is a 500 milliliter container, and I'm evacuating the entire thing. And this is basically how it assembles. Let me demonstrate how this works. I got a little test cell running. It's percolating right now, just in there warming up. It's not, I mean, the test here is not to demonstrate the cell. The test here is to demonstrate the way that I'm measuring it. So let me put the cap back on. Well, the way this would work is you submerge the bottle completely. You fill it up completely, so it's completely full, no air in it. You put the cap back on. I apologize for this. I should have put this on the tripod. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Okay, the bottle's submerged, and I don't know if you can see it, but the tube itself has got water in it. The purpose of having water in the tube itself is allows it to be hands-free. You've got the entire volume submerged. You've got the hose is actually looped down underneath, going underneath, and coming up into the bottle. Let me get a light where you can see better. The bottle is submerged completely. There's no air pockets. Well, I got a little air bubble in there somewhere. There's a little one. But this is just a demonstration. It's not a scientific test. And the water level, the tube is actually submerged, actually filled with water. The tube being filled with water is actually an advantage to you, because when you take this end of the hose, now you've got time to put this on the end of your device, and then come over here and push the start and stop button. So I'm going to push reset clear on my stopwatch. So my stopwatch is waiting on me. My setup is ready to go, and my tank is bubbling away waiting for me to put a hose on it. Now I'm going to put the hose on here. It starts pushing air down, and I get ready to push my stop button and start my stopwatch when the air starts coming out of the tube. That's when my stopwatch starts, and the time runs. Well, this is like slow motion, isn't it? Anyways, that's how you start the thing. I'm gonna cheat here in a minute. I don't want to have to make you waste your time. Watch this thing all the way to the end. Let me cheat a little bit here. Hold on one second. Let me dump out some of that water. I just want to see how you. This is how you would start the test. In other words, that's when you would start the timers, when the air started coming out the bubbles, or the air started coming into the tank. And when you would stop the stopwatch, let me put you down for a second. So I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm going to dump some water out because I don't want you to waste all your time. Alright. Now, assuming that this had been running for half an hour or whatever, however long it takes you to fill this thing up, the way this would work is that your timer would stop when the last little bit of water was dumped out, and it would start evacuating out of that small hole. And the way you would do this is you would just lean this ever so slightly away from where the hose comes in. This, you know, every time I put these things on camera, these things always go slow. Alright, I apologize for the camera work. This is poor camera work. Now see, if you're looking to market at 500 milliliters, you would have had to hold this exactly perfect. And I don't really care about the 500 milliliter part. I want to have a constant volume that I'm evacuating. So once that's completely empty, the air is going to start leaking out, or the gas is going to start coming out that 1/8 hole. That would be the point in time when you would push the stopwatch and turn it back off. And if I wasn't holding the camera, this really would be almost hands-free. You wouldn't, I mean, you've got time to come over and push your stopwatch, and all you have to do is babysit it right at the end. I mean, you can pretty much leave it alone right up until the end, because you want to, if you want it to be accurate, you want to make sure that it evacuates all of the water out of the tank first, which means you got to lean this small hole down so that the small 1/8 hole is the lowest point in the tank right at the end. Up until about the last inch or so, it really doesn't matter the angle, as long as it's not blowing gas out. Anyways, like I said, what this is for is not to compete against anybody else. It's a way to me to have a consistent way of measuring it. It don't have to be a 500 milliliter bottle like this. I mean, you could use a much smaller bottle. Here's a small 350 milliliter bottle you could use as a standard for your own personal testing. So like you'd always have the exact same measurement every single time that you did this. And that way you'd know that if you're going fast, if you're better than you were before, better or worse than you were before. Anyways, I'm not saying that you should do this. I'm just saying that whole HHO meter, HHOmeter, is a difficult project, and it's for what I needed it to do. It was much more complicated than it needed to be. This is very simple, and it's repeatable. So as long as somebody got the exact same bottle I did, they could do the exact same test, and we'd be comparing apples to apples. So I'm not saying it's the right way to go. I'm just saying it's the way I'm going to be measuring my gas. It's simple, it's repeatable, and it'll be consistent. Alright, this is Luther P. 40 signing off. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch my videos. Take care.